Can you guys believe it's September 1st? Because I can't. Hello everyone, welcome back to Becca's Book Nook. Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap-up. After my monster wrap-up of July, this wrap-up is slightly disappointing. I only read 7 books this month. I went through a little bit of a slump there at the beginning. I don't think I even started a book for this month until like the 8th or 9th. So I don't know what was going on there. I was having a little bit of slump. I was sort of watching lots of TV, I think, and I was also just going out with my friends a lot. Just didn't really make a lot of time for reading, but I eventually got back into the swing of things and still ended up reading 7 books, which is not bad for a monthly wrap-up, for me at least. So yeah, I'm going to be just talking about the books that I read this month, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. The first book that I read this month was Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I was really excited for this book, which I mentioned in my August TBR, because the synopsis really gave me You've Got Mail vibes, which is one of my all-time favorite rom-coms. And I'm not gonna say that it disappointed me, because I still overall like enjoyed the book. It just wasn't like one of my favorite romances that I've read this year. So it just sort of felt a little bit young and sort of juvenile-ish. Not that I don't love a good like high school, college romance. It just didn't really give me what I wanted. I think probably because I'm used to reading sort of like an older genre of romance, that this just didn't really give me what I wanted. And I think it started off pretty slow. It took me a minute to get into it, which is probably sort of what led to my slump. I overall really enjoyed this book. Like, I wouldn't have given it 3.5 stars if I didn't. It just definitely wasn't my favorite read of the month. Next up, I read/listened to King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, which I had been highly anticipating for the past couple months. When this book first came out, I was a little bit hesitant if I was going to read it or not. I just really love Nikolai, but I didn't love the Shadow and Bone trilogy as a whole, so I was very happy that Nikolai was getting a spin-off. I just wasn't sure if I was going to like the overall storyline and arc of this book, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked listening to it. I'm loving getting to know Zoya as a character a little bit more, and I'm very excited to see Zoya and Nikolai's relationship sort of flourish throughout the next book, hopefully. I'm gonna wait to read Rule of Wolves until it comes out in softcover, so we will see how long that'll be. But I think I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It really gave me what I wanted. It was really good. The fantasy element was great. I loved being back in the Grisha world. And yeah, it just sort of gave me everything that I wanted from it. It was slightly confusing at points, like when Zoya and Nikolai were like trapped in the fold, but we got out of there, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what the next book has in store, especially with that sort of cliffhanger ending. So yeah. The next book that I read was one of my favorites this month, and it was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I really loved everything about this book. I read/listened to this one as well in audiobook, and I really loved this audiobook as well. It just sort of had like this music in the background that was sort of given, and it made me feel like I was in the world. I loved how this book sort of gave me major Alice in Wonderland vibes. Like, there was some crazy like mad stuff going on in the book, and like Legend gives me like Mad Hatter vibes because he's like kind of out of his mind. This book had like insane twists and turns. Like, I had no clue if our main guy was like someone to be trusted or not. It took me a hot minute to decide how I felt about him and what I thought his role was in the book, but I overall really enjoyed it. I loved our main character, Scarlet, and I loved that our guy called her Crimson throughout like the whole book. I liked the banter. And I liked the whole sort of like friends to enemies to lovers to enemies to friends to that her and Julian had throughout the whole book. It was like just so many twists and turns, like, but overall I really liked it. I enjoy the twists and turns. So it was one of my favorite books this month, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read this month was The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, which I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. I bought this book like the day it came out, and I was really, really excited for it, and then I just kind of kept pushing it off and not getting into it. But I finally read it. I really enjoyed the storyline. I liked the whole idea of it, and I liked our 2 characters. But there was just something about it that didn't do it for me completely. I still really enjoyed it, but it's definitely not one of my favorite Christina Lauren books. I don't know. I really don't know what it is. I just know that it was not like a 4 or 5 star book for me. Like, I enjoyed it. I think I even teared up at the end of it. It was overall like a really great book, but something about it just didn't make it one of my favorite romance reads and not one of my favorite Christina Lauren books. I would still recommend it because I liked the overall like plot and the idea behind it. It was really interesting. Something about the execution just, I don't know. It wasn't the best book I read this month. It was, yeah, that's all I'm really gonna say. So after I read The Soulmate Equation, I went through another slight little reading slump where I was trying to read Dance of Thieves by Mary Pearson, which is a book that I've been wanting to get to since February. I told myself I was going to read it this month. I didn't read it this month. I was trying to get into it, and I don't know, I was not feeling the mega like hardcore fantasy. There was too much I had to really remember, and I just wasn't really, I don't know, I couldn't get into it. So I was at work one day and I was like, wow, I need to get out of this slump. Like, it's almost the end of the month. I need to get some books done. And I found on Spotify that they have all of the Harry Potter books there for free to listen to in audiobook form. So I listened to The Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. It's one of my favorite books, and it's a little short one. I haven't read it in a while, and I just watched the movie, which made me realize that I really wanted to read the book again and see the differences. I've read the series 5 times, but it's been a while since the last time I read it. I think the last time I read the series as a whole was like grade 10 summers, like 2017 maybe. So that's like a good while for me. I used to read them, like reread them every year, and then I just realized that there was way too many books that I needed to get to that I wasn't going to get to if I kept rereading the same 7 books over and over again. But I think now that I know that they're all in audiobook form, like for free, I think I might listen to them all this year and hopefully get them all done. And I know I started sort of halfway through the series, but I really wanted to listen to that one. But I do definitely want to listen to / read the rest of them this year, so I think I'm gonna get that done. But yeah, this gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. It's one of my favorite Harry Potter books. I love it. Sirius Black has my heart, and yeah, it got me out of my slump, so I'm happy about that. The next book that I read this month is my top read of the month, and it is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This book got a 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. I absolutely adored it. I loved everything about it. I love the grumpy sunshine. I love the sort of enemies to lovers sort of aspect. I loved that it's sort of tied to Schitt's Creek and that our main character, Piper, is based off Alexis. I loved it. I just loved everything about this book. Loved the setting that we're in. It was just literally the perfect summer read. Everyone should go read this. It was not on my TBR, but I picked it up and wanted to get to it. So I did, and I'm so happy that I read it because Tessa Bailey is wonderful. I'm excited to read all of her books. I can't wait to do so. She's got something about her writing that I really like. She's great at describing things. I love authors that describe things in a way that I've never really seen before. That's why I love Sally Thorne. Tessa Bailey did a really great job with setting the scene, and the steamy scenes were awesome. I was not expecting that, so I'm excited to read her other books and see if they measure up. I heard that they do, so yeah, It Happened One Summer. Definitely recommend it. Best book I read this month for sure. And the last book that I read in August was another sort of last minute decision. I had seen it being talked about all over TikTok, all over YouTube, all over Instagram, so I thought I would pick it up, and I just finished it at like 11:30 last night, so I just squeezed it in there, and that was The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This book has two of my favorite tropes. It's enemies to lovers and fake dating. I also love when the main characters have to go on a vacation together somewhere. That's another one of my favorite tropes. And if you want to hear more about my favorite tropes and some books to read of that trope, please go check out my last video. It has been compared to The Hating Game since it is enemies to lovers office romance. So I had really super high expectations for this book. I'm not going to say that I didn't like it because I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It just didn't completely deliver for me as much as I thought it was going to. Don't get me wrong, the book was still great. The spice was great. I loved our main guy, Aaron. Love him. He's a great guy. I loved their romance. I loved them connecting on an emotional level. Just, it was a great book overall. I feel like the writing was just like low-key lacking for me. It just felt a little bit childish sort of in some of the senses and just very cliche. Not that I don't love a good cliche, but this book just had so many of them that I think it just really didn't do it for me. And I think every book I read, I keep comparing to People We Meet on Vacation because it just blew me away and it's just my favorite book that I've read this year. And this book just wasn't, it just didn't deliver for me the way that other books have this year. It was still really, really good, but I was expecting it to be like an immediate 5-star read because I've seen so many things about it. And it just personally wasn't that for me. But still 4 out of 5 stars. I would still recommend it. There was just something about it, sort of like the soulmate equation, that just didn't 100% do it for me. I am looking forward to her next book. I will read it. Just personally wasn't one of my favorites that I read this month. So that is it for my August wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about and give reviews of the 7 books that I read this month. I had so much fun reading them and I'm so happy that I found a couple new books that I really enjoyed. I'm super excited to read the last 2 books in the Caraval trilogy if I can ever find them. I've been looking everywhere, every bookstore I go to, and they literally don't have them anywhere, so probably gonna have to order them online. But yeah, I'm really happy with pretty much all the books that I read this month, except for the couple that sort of I wish that I liked a little bit more. But overall, I'm really happy with everything. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below the favorite book that you read in August, and please subscribe to my channel for weekly content. I post every Wednesday, and you do not want to miss the bookish videos that I post. My socials are linked down below if you want to follow me over there. I would love to have some more followers on my Bookstagram as I do post there very often. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!